Russ, what's the focus for you guys now? You got a little bit of a homestand here, so to speak.
Try to take care of business. Not really, we understand being home, but it doesn't mean that, teams are going to come in and give us games. We got to go take them, find ways to be able to, put one win together, not worry about our entire schedule, just take care of that game and try to find a way to get a win.
How's LeBron? Have you talked to him lately? Was he out there today?
Oh, I haven't talked to him. I did talk to him, but nothing about basketball. To my knowledge, he's all right. Have you talked to him?
Have not.
Oh.
Russ, what encouraged you about this road trip, despite coming back?
We had a chance to win all games. When you think about it, you go back and you see one play here, one possession here, that just can change. Just being locked in on one stop, one little mishap changed the game. We put ourselves in every game, in my opinion, other than probably Philly. But every other game we had a legitimate chance to win.
Russ is the only guy who's played in every game for this team. Is it difficult to kind of center yourself as the lineup just keeps changing around you, and with AD coming back, here's another setback with LeBron? Is it hard to kind of stay grounded with all that?
It is what it is. Nobody, as much as people don't want to talk about it, or the reality of it is happening and you have to adjust, and that's reality. But nobody actually cares about that anyway. It just matters if we win the game or not, no matter who's in the lineup or who's not. And that's how we got to look at it. Unfortunately, we don't know some nights who's in, who's out. And that's for me. You just kind of got to focus on what I can control, and that's all me personally, what I try to do.
Russ, kind of the epitome of it is what it is. You guys are 24 and 27, ninth in the West. Is there a point where that becomes a factor in your guys' thinking? Like, is that something you guys are thinking about at this point? Is the record just going to be what it is at the end of the year? I mean, how do you look at things like standings and records?
I don't really change much for me, honestly. Last year I was 15 and 32 at one point, and didn't have a chance. We didn't have a chance to make the play. This is your mindset. You just gotta always believe that you can do something that people think you can't. And to me, once we create that mentality amongst each other, regardless of who's in, who's out, then our spirit of our team, the way we play the game will be different. And regardless of what the record, in the mix of having fun and playing, you kind of forget about the record. It doesn't really matter. It just becomes a conversation that people like to have, and expectations that, like I told you guys last time, is expectation that people put on us in the start of the year based on our talent, based on our team, of expecting us to be at a certain level or have a certain record at this point. And for us, it's just make sure we're creating games and make sure our energy is right, moving in the right direction.
In the aggregate, has this season been fun?
There have been moments. But not entirely. Losing is not fun. So, but there's been some fun moments, on the floor.
Talking to us.
You said talking about what?
Talking to us.
That is definitely a fun moment, I think, for the rest of the guys, but not so much for myself. But
Thank you for your time.
anytime.
The numbers have shown that since the Indiana game, you've played better, or at least you played better basketball than you had played numbers-wise earlier in the year. Is there anything that stands out to you about how you've been playing?
Just taking my time, focusing on what I can control, focusing on me, and making sure that I'm playing the right way, playing the right basketball, making the right plays, trying to be effective and efficient along the ways, and that's all that I've been focusing on, throughout whatever many games it's been.
Not to make more of this one conversation than it was, but the start of that stretch was the Orlando game, and there was a conversation you had with Shaq, and I think he said that it was taking your time was kind of his message. Did that resonate at all?
Yeah, it was just talking about changing speeds and different things. And when somebody like Shaq is seeing and watching the game, I'm always big on listening and listening to my elders and listen to the ones that were before me. And Shaq was giving me some good advice on just changing speeds and different times of coming up the floor, which was very helpful. Not just in that game, but as I watched myself and moving forward. But try to continue doing that throughout the rest of the year.
I just got one more for you. It's completely non-related to this season, but we're looking back at some of the better, most notable individual performances in NBA history considered the 70th anniversary. So I want to ask you about 2017, your MVP season, game number 80. You beat Oscar Robertson's single-season triple-double mark with a 50-point triple-double, including a game winner against the Nuggets. Anything about that game stand out to you?
Yeah, we eliminated the Nuggets, and they didn't make the playoffs because we won.
That's right.
That was the biggest standout for me. Other than the record in itself, but just being able to, do that with a group of guys that we had, young, fun group, amazing season to be able to do it at that moment, with a game or so left on the road was special, and it was a good overall, moment experience, not just for me, but for, my guys and the teammates and the organization as well.
Do you look back to that game at all in terms of like your most memorable performances you've had in your career?
Yeah, that's one of them for sure.
Russ, Bill was asking about the standings a little bit. I'm curious, the numbers from the top teams in the West, I think like 17 games back or something like that. But because of sort of this idea of what this team could be, when it gets hold, does it feel like that far? Does it feel more in reach, kind of the top of the Western Conference and competing with those teams? Or
I mean, it's always in reach. When you get to the playoffs, 0-0.
is that this team's mentality?
I don't know. You probably gotta ask each individual person about that, but that's just how I feel. I feel that when you get to the playoffs, it doesn't really matter if somebody was, whatever their record, 50 and whatever that may be their record, it doesn't really matter. You get in the playoffs 0-0. So best team win at that particular time of the year. If I'm playing better than the 8th seed or playing in the 1 seed, 2 seed, whatever that may be, then, it don't really matter.
Russ, I think you and Frank and a couple other guys have talked about how important it's been the last couple games with the screening angles and how guys screen for you. What kind of chemistry has developed in the last 2 games, screening, and does anyone stand out as having good chemistry with you on that?
It changes, man. Lineups change based on who I'm in a game with. Sometimes we're small. Sometimes DJ Dwight, AD, it just depends. And also who's guarding me kind of varies too sometimes. So, most of the 9 times out of 10, it's a bigger guy probably. So just trying to waste the screen and setting them up. I'm using my body and my size and my strength to be able to get to where I need to get to and allowing those guys to screen for me.
Hey, Russ, there was that stretch early in the season, LeBron missed 12 games, and wondering, since we don't know when he's going to be back, is there anything about playing with AD now that you kind of thought about during that stretch that he was out that could make that a little bit easier now for you guys to get in a two-man group?
Yeah, man, I try to find ways to be able to do that. It's just trying to figure it out. It's been a process of trying to figure it out with AD in and, figuring out what plays, what sets, what things we can run and how we can play with that based on the group we may have in at the time. Because even when Brown was out at that time, I think we had some other guys out too that wasn't in, and we had a different team a little bit, and now our team is a little different based on personnel, and so just trying to take all that in the same time of also figuring out and making sure that AD's in the most comfortable spot and put in position to be successful.
One more if we have it. Anybody?
I could ask one more on the Denver game. Was that the best game you ever played, or did you have in your mind the best game you ever played in the NBA?
The best game I ever played. I think, I don't know. The best game I played, I don't know if that's it, but maybe my first. I guess this is a good problem to have if I can't think about it. Shit. I don't know, because certain games have significance based on others, and there's certain times in my life there's so many things that was happening for me personally. Like I think we didn't win the game, but finals game I had in Miami was so much, stuff coming to me on me about my performance and basically the entire media where everybody just, boom, 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 let's step on Russ. And, the next day, turn around, 43, whatever. But my focus and just how I was preparing for that game was a little different. The Nip game was a big game for me for many reasons, as you guys probably know, just how that game kind of played out. Game in Orlando, had a game in Orlando, I think like 50-something, triple-double in overtime. I think it was my MVP season maybe, or year after that, one of the two.
Okay.
It was a good game.
So that one's a monster, though. You would include
Yeah, I
that
mean,
on
I
the
can
list.
go all day if you
Yeah,
want.
no, well, sure,
I
but
can
I'm
go all
just
day
saying-
if you want me to go. I got some
Am I
games.
picking those-
I got some
I
games
guess
that
how-
people ain't
how-
never
how-
done
are we
before.
picking the wrong one?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some things that people ain't never,
But
ever
you
done
see
before.
later.
Yeah, I mean,
But if we-
last year I had a
if we were gonna-
35, 20,
If we were gonna pick
I don't know.
a Russell Westbrook game to
Well,
include on that list, is that the wrong game to pick?
Nah, but I got, Indiana last year, all three of those Indiana games last year, 35, 20, I don't know,
20 game?
Yeah, 35, 20, 15 games, 15, 15, 15, like it,